Listen closely, because the last 2 days of November are unlike any other. Something shifts in the energy around us, subtle yet profound, and only those who step away from the noise will sense it. I am Shi Hing Yi, and today I will guide you through the hidden power of solitude, a force that many misunderstand, yet the sages of Shaolin have revered for centuries. Solitude is often mistaken for emptiness or loneliness, but in truth, it is a sacred space where the mind and spirit speak their quietest truths. In these moments of isolation, the veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary thins. Shaolin masters discovered that in silence, the faintest stirrings of insight, intuition, and inner guidance become impossible to ignore. The world's distractions fade, and the whispers of your own soul rise with clarity. During this video, you will learn why isolating yourself at the right time is not withdrawal, but a preparation, a shield against unseen forces, and a doorway to personal mastery. You will uncover why the last 2 days of November carry an unusual intensity, and how aligning your energy during these hours can set the stage for transformation in ways most people never notice. These are practices not recorded in common books, hidden in the traditions of monks who understood the rhythms of life and the subtleties of qi. Stay with me until the end, and you will discover methods to cultivate inner stillness, sharpen your awareness, and sense dangers and opportunities before they even appear. This is a rare invitation to step into a rhythm the world often ignores, but one that changes everything for those willing to listen. Welcome to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Here the path of ancient wisdom meets practical mastery. Subscribe now and begin this journey of quiet power and awakening with us. The last 2 days of November are approaching. Are you ready to meet them fully aligned? There are moments when the air itself feels heavier, as if the world holds its breath and every choice carries weight beyond the ordinary. The last 2 days of November are such moments. These hours are charged with subtle shifting energies, forces that can strengthen or scatter the life force within you depending on how you move through them. In the quiet halls of Shaolin temples, monks learn to recognize these times. The cycle of the month is not just a measure of days, it is a flow of energy, a tide that rises and falls. As the month closes, currents of qi intensify, stirred by both the unseen and the unresolved. The mind, body, and spirit are more sensitive, more vulnerable, and yet, with awareness, more capable of profound alignment. Isolation becomes the shield. In solitude, the constant pull of external voices, opinions, and distractions loses its power. Without the clutter of others' energy, the body preserves its own qi, maintaining balance and clarity. The simple act of stepping back, away from obligations, noise, and digital currents, protects the subtle threads of life force that would otherwise fray under the weight of external influence. During these days, even small interactions can deplete energy far more than one realizes. A conversation, a glance, a ripple of tension, it all draws from your reservoir. Yet when you embrace quiet, each breath replenishes what the world tries to take. Your focus sharpens, your intuition grows keener, and the currents of change become visible where before they were hidden. It is not mere avoidance, it is preparation. It is the conscious practice of guarding the self, as Shaolin masters have done for centuries. In these critical times, energy is everything, and learning to preserve it is the first step toward mastery that will carry you forward beyond these fleeting days. There's a power in stillness that most overlook, a quiet force that moves beneath the surface of life. In Shaolin philosophy, this stillness, known as Jing, is not mere absence of movement, but a cultivated presence of mind and spirit. It is in these silent spaces that the deepest clarity arises, where the chaos of the outside world no longer drowns the subtle signals of intuition and insight. When the body is still and the mind settles, patterns begin to reveal themselves. Small details, normally lost in the noise, emerge with startling precision. A shift in energy, a hesitation in movement, a hidden opportunity. These were always there, but the mind, distracted by constant motion and chatter, failed to see them. Stillness sharpens perception, like the calm surface of water, reflecting everything above with perfect clarity. Shaolin masters have long taught that danger often arrives unnoticed, not because it is loud, but because it hides in plain sight. Only through deliberate stillness can one sense the rhythm of life and discern what is genuine from what is fleeting. Discipline in this practice is essential. The body may resist, the mind may wander, yet persistence in stillness builds inner mastery. Over time, the ability to perceive without interference becomes natural, and awareness stretches beyond ordinary limits. Opportunities, too, become clearer in quiet. When the mind ceases to chase distractions, insight arises naturally, revealing choices that were invisible in the rush of activity. This is the essence of Jing, a balance of patience, observation, and surrender. It teaches that mastery is not always in action, but often in restraint, that strength is not always in motion, but in the depth of stillness. In cultivating this silent power, one aligns with life itself, seeing what others overlook and moving with wisdom that flows unforced and true. There is a rare clarity that comes when the world falls away, leaving only the self to observe its own path. In isolation, the mind finally has space to pause, to look back without judgment, and to see the patterns woven through the past month. This is the practice of mindful reflection, an ancient discipline that reveals what ordinary attention often misses. The end of a cycle is never just a mark on a calendar. It is a doorway, an invitation to examine where energy was spent, where intentions aligned with action, and where subtle missteps quietly shaped outcomes. Isolation creates the stillness necessary for this work. Without distraction, the mind can trace the flow of choices, noticing connections between events, emotions, and decisions that previously seemed disconnected or random. Mindful reflection is not a search for fault but for understanding. In silence, unresolved challenges emerge like shadows at the edge of awareness, calling attention to areas where growth is required. Each lesson, no matter how small, carries wisdom that can strengthen resolve and sharpen discernment. Ancient masters recognized that the world moves fast, yet the soul moves more slowly. Only by stepping aside can one reconcile these rhythms and act with purpose. Discipline is at the heart of this practice. The mind resists facing itself honestly, preferring distraction and comfort. Yet persistence cultivates insight, patience, and resilience. Over time, reflection becomes a mirror of inner alignment, showing not just where one has faltered, but where one has risen above circumstance and exercised quiet mastery. Through this process, isolation transforms into a tool of empowerment. The last days of the month become an opportunity to gather wisdom, release what no longer serves, and prepare for the next chapter. What is often overlooked in the rush of life, the subtle guidance of the mind, the quiet voice of experience, becomes unmistakably clear to those willing to pause and reflect. There are moments when time itself seems to pause, as if the world waits for a subtle signal before moving again. The end of November is such a threshold, a portal where energies shift quietly, yet with undeniable force. These transitions can be sudden, imperceptible at first, yet they carry the potential to alter direction, awaken insight, and reveal truths previously hidden. Ancient Shaolin teachings recognize that life is governed by rhythms far subtler than the ticking of a clock. Change arrives in cycles, often unnoticed until it demands attention. To navigate these shifts with clarity requires preparation, not through action alone, but through stillness, awareness, and alignment of the mind, body, and spirit. Isolation becomes the crucible in which this preparation occurs. In solitude, the distractions of the external world fall away, leaving the inner landscape exposed. The mind can track the currents of energy, sensing the subtle movements that precede transformation. Without interference, the body and spirit can adjust naturally, flowing with change rather than resisting it. Timing, a central principle in Shaolin philosophy, is not something forced. It is recognized, felt, and embraced. The disciplined observer becomes attuned to the rhythm of life, moving with precision and intention when the moment demands it. The end of November is not merely a closing of a month, it is a turning point. Energetic currents converge, and those who remain anchored in quiet, mindful isolation gain the ability to respond rather than react. This is the essence of mastery, aligning with forces greater than oneself, cultivating readiness, and allowing transformation to unfold without struggle. Through disciplined solitude, one learns that change is not something to fear, but a teacher to respect. By honoring these final days, observing stillness, and preserving clarity, it becomes possible to meet sudden shifts with calm, insight, and a readiness that carries far beyond the closing of the month. There is a rhythm within each of us that often goes unnoticed, the subtle rise and fall of breath carrying life force through every cell of the body. In moments of solitude, this rhythm becomes a doorway to mastery. The ancient Shaolin masters understood that breath is more than survival. It is the bridge between body, mind, and spirit, a conduit for cultivating qi, the vital energy that sustains and empowers. When the world is quiet, breath can be observed, refined, and directed. Simple inhalations and exhalations, practiced with intention, awaken awareness of the body's energy. Each breath becomes a tool for clearing tension, aligning focus, and restoring balance. In these controlled rhythms, resilience is built, not the outward strength of muscles, but the inner fortitude of spirit. The mind, often scattered by distraction, finds its anchor in the cycle of inhale and exhale. Tree cultivation, through breath, sharpens clarity. Thoughts that once seemed tangled now reveal their patterns. Emotional turbulence softens and the subtle currents of intuition become perceptible. In isolation, there is space to feel these energies move freely, to sense where they stagnate, and to guide them with deliberate attention. This is how the Shaolin approached mastery, through patience, repetition, and the quiet discipline of listening to the body and spirit simultaneously. Spiritual sensitivity grows naturally from this practice. With each mindful breath, one becomes attuned to vibrations beyond the immediate senses, small shifts in energy, hidden intentions, and unseen forces that influence life. The more disciplined the practice, the more refined this perception becomes. Breath, in this sense, is both a shield and a compass, preserving life force while illuminating the path forward. In solitude, the power of breath and qi cultivation is magnified. It is a reminder that mastery begins not with action in the world, but with awareness of the forces within, cultivated patiently, one conscious breath at a time. There are forces in the world that move quietly, yet with relentless persistence. Opinions, judgments, and expectations from others often arrive like invisible currents, tugging at the mind without notice. At ordinary times, these influences may seem harmless, but in moments of critical importance, they can cloud judgment, scatter focus, and dilute the clarity of intention. Shaolin philosophy teaches that true discernment arises not from the voices outside, but from the voice within. Yi, the principle of righteous intention and inner guidance, cannot flourish while the mind is crowded with the energy of others. Detachment from external influence is not rejection. It is a cultivation of autonomy, a recognition that the subtle wisdom of the self is more reliable than any passing opinion. Isolation becomes the vessel in which this autonomy is strengthened. Without distraction, the mind can listen to its own rhythms, weigh choices without interference, and perceive subtle truths that the noise of the world often obscures. In this silence, the contours of inner guidance become visible, like a faint path appearing in mist. Decisions emerge not from impulse, fear, or conformity, but from alignment with deeper awareness and understanding. Discipline is essential. The mind instinctively seeks connection and validation, yet restraint allows one to preserve clarity. Over time, practicing detachment sharpens intuition, deepens insight, and strengthens resilience. Actions taken from this place carry precision and integrity, free from the sway of external agendas or fleeting opinions. This is the essence of mastery, to move through life anchored to one's own discernment, responding rather than reacting, guided by the subtle currents of internal truth. In solitude, the mind learns to hear itself fully, and the soul gains the freedom to act with quiet power. The world may call, but those who cultivate detachment answer only to their own wisdom, and in that they find strength that cannot be shaken. There is a language in the world that few learn to hear, a language spoken not in words but in the subtle currents of energy that flow through every moment. In solitude, these currents become perceptible, and the body and mind begin to read signals that are invisible amidst distraction. The quiet reveals what the noise conceals, the shifts in your own energy, the faint tremors in the environment, the undercurrents that hint at what is coming. Shaolin masters understood that life is composed of these subtle movements. Danger often approaches silently, opportunity hides beneath layers of ordinary appearances, and only those attuned to energy can act before events unfold. Through disciplined observation, they trained the senses to detect the slightest imbalance, a twitch of intention, a shift in posture, a flicker of tension. These signs were invisible to the untrained eye, yet unmistakable to those who practice stillness and awareness. Isolation is the training ground for this sensitivity. Free from external noise and distraction, the mind can settle and the body can listen. Breathing, posture, and presence become instruments for perception. With patience, the fluctuations of one's own chi become clear, as do the invisible movements in the surrounding space. This is not intuition alone. It is skill owned through discipline, a kind of seeing that precedes thought, a knowing that arises before action. The practice cultivates both caution and opportunity. One learns to sense when to move, when to wait, and when to act with precision. The world flows in patterns, and those who observe subtle energies align themselves with these currents rather than resist them. Mastery emerges not from force, but from attunement. In these quiet hours, the ability to read energy is sharpened, preparing the practitioner to navigate life with clarity, foresight, and unwavering presence long before circumstances announce themselves. There are moments when the mind feels heavy, the body tense, and the spirit restless, as though the clutter of life has gathered unseen weight within. In these moments, isolation becomes more than a retreat. It becomes a ritual of purification. The ancient Shaolin masters understood that stillness is not emptiness, but a cleansing force, a way to reset the harmony between mind, body, and spirit. In solitude, the distractions and attachments that cloud clarity begin to fall away. Old worries, lingering doubts, and unresolved tensions rise to the surface, not to overwhelm, but to be released. Each breath becomes a vessel for letting go. Each moment of reflection a step toward realignment. This is not an act of avoidance. It is a deliberate turning inward, a conscious pruning of what no longer serves the path of growth and mastery. The practice of purification sharpens the mind. Thoughts that once ran unchecked are observed and refined. Emotions are felt fully, acknowledged, and then released, leaving behind a steadier, calmer center. The body too responds. Tension dissolves, energy flows more freely, and the subtle currents of qi return to balance. Spirit rises in quiet confidence, no longer weighed by the residue of unexamined experiences. Inner alignment follows naturally. Actions and intentions begin to reflect higher purpose rather than impulse. The rhythm of life, once disrupted by distraction and noise, becomes clear and directed. In these hours, the self is strengthened, not through effort alone, but through surrender to the process of stillness and purification. Isolation, in this way, is a sacred practice. It offers a chance to cleanse, to reset, and to harmonize. By letting go of what binds, and by listening to the deeper currents of awareness, one returns to the world aligned, centered, and prepared to move with intention, integrity, and quiet mastery. There is a rhythm to life that cannot be forced, a flow that responds only to presence, not effort. The Shaolin masters called this principle Wu Wei, action through harmony, effortless alignment with the currents of existence. It is not passivity nor surrender in weakness, but a deep attunement that allows every movement, every choice to arise naturally without struggle. In solitude, the mind can soften and the body can release tension, creating the conditions for Wu Wei to emerge. Isolation removes the constant push of external demands and expectations, allowing attention to settle and the inner rhythm to become clear. In this quiet space, the self learns to move with timing and precision, acting in accordance with what is, rather than what is imagined or desired. The practice of Wu Wei is subtle. It begins with observation, watching life unfold without interference, noticing patterns, and sensing the flow of energy within and around oneself. Effort is replaced by responsiveness. Force is replaced by alignment. A decision arises not from struggle, but from clarity. An action flows not from tension, but from understanding. The master does not chase opportunity. Opportunity arrives naturally to those who have cultivated readiness. Through discipline and patience, the art of effortless alignment strengthens. It teaches that resistance is costly and that control imposed without understanding only disrupts the natural course. In the quiet of isolation, one learns to distinguish between impulse and intuition, between grasping and allowing. Embracing Wu Wei transforms daily life. Challenges are met with calm, opportunities are recognized before they vanish, and energy is preserved rather than wasted. Life moves through the practitioner as a river moves through the valley, smooth, continuous, and powerful. In this harmony, mastery is not an external achievement, but the quiet unfolding of alignment between the self and the world. As the last 2 days of November approach, remember that isolation is not a retreat from life, but a powerful tool for self-mastery. In these quiet hours, the mind clears, the spirit strengthens, and your energy finds protection from the distractions of the world. By embracing solitude, practicing mindful reflection, and aligning deeply with your inner self, you prepare for transformation that extends far beyond these days. This is a time to let go of what no longer serves you, to restore balance, and to awaken to the subtle currents of life that guide your path. Even brief moments of stillness can reveal lessons, illuminate opportunities, and deepen your understanding of purpose. The wisdom cultivated in silence carries into every choice, every action, and every step forward. Approach these days with patience and awareness. Allow the quiet to teach, the reflection to guide, and the alignment to strengthen your presence in the world. What begins in stillness unfolds effortlessly in life. If this journey of inner mastery and spiritual awakening resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Here, the path of ancient wisdom meets practical guidance for daily life. May these final days of November bring clarity, balance, and gentle awakening to your mind, body, and spirit.